What is that 1 second delay? It makes me crazy. All right, from Elizabeth. Hi, Drew. Why do people have a problem with Jews? Why is anti-Semitism a thing? Why are Jews targeted differently from any other religion, say like Protestants, Mormons, Buddhists, etc.? They certainly are. It's a good question. I write about this, by the way, in my memoir, The Great Good Thing. I write an entire chapter. I think it's called This Thing of Darkness, and it is about my take on anti-Semitism, and I will summarize it quickly. I mean, first of all, there's an historical element to this. I mean, the Jews were always separatists. They were always saying, we don't want anybody in our religion. Our religion makes us good. You're barbarians. That always ticks people off anyway. But that would have been normal because a lot of people felt like that. The whole word barbarian is a Greek word because the people who weren't Greek sounded to them like they were saying ba, ba, ba. So they called them barbarians. It's really where the word comes from. But because Christianity was a breakaway sect from Judaism, and because the Jews were ticked off about it, I mean, preaching Christianity in the middle of Jerusalem, which is what they were doing, was dangerous, right? There was already animosity between the Christians and the Jews. But then in 70 AD, the Jews had an uprising against the Romans, and the Romans crushed them. They destroyed basically Palestine. They threw them out. If you go to Rome, there's still the Arch of Titus, I believe it is. It still has, carvings about this, the soldiers carrying away the menorahs and all this stuff. It was an absolute disaster for the Jews. Some people believe that this was the abomination of desolation that Jesus was talking about, that this, he was warning them, turn the other cheek because these people will kill you. Some people actually have that as their theology. But the point was, after this, it's speculated that it was very useful for the Christians to distance themselves from the Jews, saying, we're not those Jews, we're new Jews, this is not that thing. And they posed Christianity as opposed to the Jews. And of course, part of this was the theology that it was, quote, the Jews who killed Christ, the Jews who killed Jesus. And as I say in my book, I feel like that's not even an English sentence, because when you say the Jews, who are you? I didn't do it. I wasn't there. So I just feel like that's a very strange thing to say. But it was part of the theology that the Messiah had come, the Jewish Messiah had come to the Jews. They hadn't recognized him, and now the religion had gone off to the Gentiles, and the Jews had been cut out of the religion. I think there's a psychological element to this that grew up over time. By the time you're in the Middle Ages, the Jew, most people had never seen a Jew, but the Jew was the killer of Christ. And when they do their Easter plays, the Jew would come on as the evil Jew, and he would be plotting against Christ. The idea that the Jews were deicides, killers of God, became a very, very powerful preaching idea within the Catholic Church. And the Catholic Church says, well, we always defended the Jews when they were attacked by the mob. Well, maybe that's true, but the mob was incited by these ideas. And, we talk about the Crusades being defensive wars against the Muslims. When the Crusaders would go marching off to fight the Muslims, they always pause and kill some Jews on the way, on the theory that why should we fight the infidel in Outremer overseas when we've got infidels right here? So let's kill them on the way. So I believe there's a psychological element to this. I wrote about this in my novel, The Uncanny, and I called it The Uncanny because Freud had written a book called The Uncanny about what he called the return of the repressed. If something is so horrible in your past that you repress it and it becomes unconscious, it keeps coming back in deformed ways. And this is what I believe. I believe that the Jews' relationship to God represents all of our relationships to God, so that all the things that the Jews did, anybody would have done, but they were the ones chosen to illustrate this in history. Everybody killed Jesus. Everybody. Anybody who was there, if you were there, if I were there, we would have done the same thing, because the light of God is so powerful and it shines us on all our flaws, and we hate him for it, and so we would have killed him. It was easier, instead of accepting that guilt, to blame it on the Jews, so in other words, it was kind of self-hatred being projected outward. That's my psychological take on it. And I really believe that people hate Jews because they hate God, and they hate God because they hate themselves. And God's light shines on you and shows you who you really are. And the Jews introduced this God into our world. He introduced the idea that we are sinful and fallen, And we hate them for those things. It's basically a way of punishing ourselves for killing God by blaming it on the Jews. That's the way I think about it. I say it a little bit more clearly in my book. It's a very complex thought, but if you read the book, there is a chapter on it where I felt I explained it pretty well, at least my point of view.